Have you ever just stopped and wondered, why do I do that? Why do we have the habits we have or react to things in a certain way? Well, today we're diving into behaviorism. It's a really powerful theory that has a fascinating answer. The reasons for what we do aren't hidden deep inside our minds, but they're all around us, in the world itself. And this quote from B.F. Skinner, one of the biggest names in behaviorism, just cuts right to the chase. The idea is that our actions are basically predictable results of our environment. That's a huge claim, right? And it's exactly what we're going to unpack today. So here's our game plan. We'll start with what behaviorism even is. Then we'll get into its two main engines, classical and operant conditioning. After that, we'll see how it all plays out in a real-world setting, like school, before looking at the theory's weak spots. And finally, we'll talk about its incredible, lasting impact. All right, so what exactly is this theory? Well, at its core, it's all about what we can actually see and measure. Okay, here's the formal textbook definition, but the only parts you really need to zero in on are observable and measurable, and stimulus response. See, behaviorists weren't that interested in your private thoughts or your feelings. They wanted to study your actions, what you do, and what in the environment caused you to do it. And this really breaks down those core ideas. First off, the focus is only on what you can see. If you can't observe it and measure it, you can't really study it scientifically. Second, it suggests that pretty much everything we do is a learned habit, something we've been conditioned to do. But here's the hopeful part. If a behavior can be learned, it can also be unlearned and replaced with something better. And finally, the secret sauce to making it all happen? Rewards. A rewarded behavior is a behavior that sticks. So how does this learning actually work? According to behaviorists, we pick up all these habits through two incredibly powerful processes, classical and operant conditioning. Let's dig in. First up, we've got classical conditioning. You've probably heard of its pioneer, Ivan Pavlov. This is all about learning by association. It's when our brain basically links two things together just because they happen at the same time, like a specific sound and then an event right after. And this is the famous experiment that started it all. It's actually pretty straightforward. Step 1. A dog sees food, it salivates. That's natural, right? An unconditioned response. Step 2. Pavlov starts ringing a bell right before he brings the food. He does this over and over. The dog's brain starts to make a connection. And boom, step 3. Pretty soon, just the sound of the bell alone is enough to make the dog salivate. A new behavior was learned, not through thinking, but through simple association. But what about behaviors that aren't just automatic reflexes? The choices we make. Well, that's where B.F. Skinner and operant conditioning come into the picture. This whole theory is about how the consequences of our actions, so rewards and punishments, end up shaping what we decide to do next. And Skinner himself put it perfectly. If we do something and something good happens as a result, we are way more likely to do that thing again. It's that strengthening effect that really drives operant conditioning. Okay, this chart is absolutely key, so let's walk through it. Positive just means you're adding something. Negative means you're taking something away. That's it. Now, reinforcement means you want to increase a behavior, while punishment means you want to decrease it. So positive reinforcement is adding something good, like praise, to get more of a behavior. Positive punishment is adding something bad, like detention, to get less of a behavior. Negative punishment is taking away something good, like recess. And now for the one that always gets people. Negative reinforcement is taking away something bad to encourage your behavior, like saying you don't have to do chores if you get your homework done. You're removing a negative thing to reinforce a good habit. Phew, okay, now that we've got the theory down, let's see where this stuff really comes to life. And there's no better place to look than a classroom. Seriously, teachers use these principles all the time. Just think about it. A gold star chart for good work? That's reinforcement. Clear consequences for breaking the rules? That's punishment. A teacher showing you how to solve a math problem on the board. That's modeling. These are all straight out of the behaviorist playbook. So for a teacher, it really all boils down to one simple question. What is my goal here? If I want to see more of something, like students participating in class, I need to use reinforcement. If I want to see less of something, like kids talking over each other, I need to use punishment. It's a very practical, goal-oriented way of thinking. Let's go back to that tricky one more time because it's so powerful. Imagine a teacher says, hey, if you get an A in this class all year, you're exempt from the final exam. That's not a punishment. The teacher is removing something everyone hates, the exam, to increase a behavior they want, getting good grades. And let me tell you, that is one heck of a motivator. But as useful and powerful as behaviorism is, it doesn't explain everything, and it has some pretty serious limitations. Is this really the whole story of why we do what we do? This question right here gets to the absolute heart of the biggest criticism. I mean, if all of our actions are just conditioned responses to things happening around us, where does our own choice, our personality, or free will even fit in? Are we just complicated machines? And this is exactly where the critics jump in. They argue that by focusing only on actions, behaviorism totally ignores what makes us feel human: our thoughts, our emotions, our dreams. It can paint a picture of us as puppets just being controlled by our environment, and it really struggles to explain things like creativity or those aha moments of insight that don't seem to come from any direct reward or punishment. So, with all these criticisms, should we just throw the whole theory out? No way. Absolutely not. Its legacy is actually incredibly important. You have to remember, before behaviorism, a lot of psychology was pretty philosophical, based on introspection and ideas that were hard to prove. By coming in and insisting on studying things that were observable and measurable, behaviorists brought a scientific rigor to the field that was absolutely essential for it to be taken seriously as a real science. And this isn't just a history lesson. Its practical value is all around us. The core principles of behaviorism are the foundation for so many effective strategies, from classroom management to certain kinds of therapy, and especially in special education, where clear and consistent systems of reinforcement can make a world of difference. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Think about your own day, that first cup of coffee you just have to have, the specific route you always take to work, your gut reaction when your phone buzzes. How much of what you do every single day has been shaped and reinforced and conditioned by the world around you, maybe without you ever consciously deciding on it at all?